manager's name. Well, I don't even like to call him my manager anymore. Stat Quo. Remember that name, Stat Quo, because when I was on tour through 2018 to 2000, whatever, the world tours with Nicki and Juice and all that. I was a drug addict back then, right? And my manager was supplying me with the drugs. He knew all my plugs, so if I couldn't perform because I was withdrawing back then, because yes, I used to be a drug addict, he would make calls, send $5,000 out here, $5,000 out here, just to ship the drugs to wherever we're at in the world, Switzerland or anywhere in America. And he's gonna act like he didn't do that, like a fucking hypocrite. And I'm really feeling like I should take him to court, right? Because that was the time I almost died from the drugs. I was so skinny, unhealthy. Yeah, but his name is Stat Quo. I'll even fucking pin this right here. Yeah, Stat Quo. Also, he took my car away too. That I paid. That the majority of the money. How ironic. Peeps my fucking cover too. And now he wants $30,000 of the remaining money to pay it off, which I paid literally. It's all my money in the car, and he won't give it to me. And that's not even the real reason. I almost died on tour multiple times from him supplying me drugs anytime I needed it, because I couldn't perform if I was withdrawing. And I've always wanted to make this case known. He is a terrible fucking human being.
He even had a doctor that gave him prescriptions.
And yeah. It just sucks. The industry just sucks. And that's a big reason why I haven't dropped another album, is because it put such a bad taste. After I got sober, it put such a bad taste in my mouth, like, to even want to make music, knowing how fucked the industry is. They just want to keep you alive long enough to make their fucking money. And if you die, even better for them. Because guess what? It's easier to manage a dead artist than an alive one.
Check it out now. Lil Xan wants to sue his manager, Stat Quo, for negligence for allegedly supplying him drugs during his years in the music industry, basically keeping him drugged up and basically taking advantage of him. Now, I'm going to be honest, ladies and gentlemen, this is a story that we could all predict would have came out. However, this is one of those chicken or the egg stories, okay? Who's to be blamed? Should we blame the guy who comes in the industry with the name Lil Xan? I mean, for Christ's sake. You have Xanax. Xan is short for Xanax. You have it in your name, okay? That's how you came into the industry, with a stage name that's of a drug. Okay, so that's the one guy. Or should it be the manager who basically says, yo, this drug addict now can't be a musician without the drugs. So since he's fiending for the drugs, he's needing the drugs, he's asking for the drugs, I'm gonna go get him. Now, both are horrible people, and neither is kind of right. And I see people try to pick sides. There's no sides to pick. If you claim that, Lil Xan is innocent and got taken advantage of, stop the fucking malarkey, okay? Lil Xan knew what the deal was. Him and so many others in the clout era took advantage of drugs, okay? Whether it's was their own consumption, their own artistic inspiration, or the mere fact that it felt cool to promote it over some beats. Let's be honest. Everybody has to take accountability. Can't act like these kids were just taken advantage of. They were kidnapped, brainwashed. And here's the thing I gotta ask y'all. How come nobody figures this out before they fall the fuck off? When everybody's at the top, nobody seems to have a problem with it. When they fall off and nobody cares about them, they got a sob story to tell, okay? Sounds like all the victims of Bill Cosby and all them other people, okay? Why wasn't you telling us from day one? Why was you waiting until 30 fucking years later. Secondly, let me get to the manager now. Because, listen, the smoke can't only be given to Lil Xan. This is why managers are shitty. And for anybody who's defending the manager in this case, I get it. Lil Xan, who's a druggie, was asking for drugs, needing the drugs, and he was only doing what Lil Xan needed, okay? He was doing probably what was necessary for Lil Xan to keep it going. Now, to be honest, did he probably want Lil Xan to be a drug addict? No. He probably wanted Lil Xan to be sober at a certain point, right? However, the kid was an addict. Now, this is why the manager's to be blamed. You don't handle a drug addict by constantly supplying them to get their daily or weekly fix. You put them in rehab. You're supposed to stop the show. You're supposed to stop the momentum. I don't care if you're on the biggest tour, making the biggest album. If you realize your artist has a big enough problem that could be fucking with his health later on, which later will fuck with your business, you're supposed to put them in rehab, all right? You don't wait till they fall off and then do some rehab stuff like we see with Famous Dex. That's too late. You should have put this kid in rehab, not continue to feed his needs. And no, you're the manager and a grown-up. Not because he told you he needed drugs, means you should have helped supply the drugs. So you are not of no fault, okay? Basically, this is one of those situations they're both to be blamed. And my whole take on the whole thing, I'm glad this is coming to light because we get to see how scummy managers are because they're down to pretty much do anything just to keep the money rolling in, including feed you drugs until you die. And of course, the artists, they think they have no accountability. You hear this guy Lil Xan talking about he about to sue? Sue for what? You want to sue because you now have a problem with it after you have fell off? Nigga, please, okay? You try to change your name from Lil Xan to Diego, and then you realize that didn't work, okay? You're now still going by Lil Xan. The whole point is this: take the accountability. And here's also the unfortunate truth. A lot of these artists, to keep it real, if they weren't popping in that drugged out era where they were really just promoting drugs and talking about drugs and all that type of stuff and these weird ass emotions that came with doing drugs, they wouldn't be popping in the first place. The same way you got hot, the same way you went out, the era's over. Now you're sober as hell and you're looking at the reality that you'll never be popping again. I'm sorry. We have to blame all of y'all, okay? Shitty managers who don't care about artists, they care about money, and also rappers who literally have not thought about what they're doing as a career and think it's all a joyride until the drugs take control of their life or until they fall the fuck off the ride. And now they're looking up like, why nobody told me I shouldn't have been doing that? Nigga, the whole world tried. You fucking ignored it. Jesus Christ, man. Get a comment box, make sure you guys like and subscribe. It's your boy Akademiks. I'm out.